Hold on a sec. My fever was raging, my vision cloudy, my voice weak. I tried to get his attention, hoping he'd stick around. But all he did was shoot me a dismissive smirk. Gesturing towards me, he said with a touch of arrogance,
"Sorry, but I've got a trip with a friend starting today."
"I'm in bad shape. If you take off, I won't be able to fend for myself."
"That's on you. You did this to yourself."
"I can't even..."
"Just get some rest while I'm out."
And just like that, he was out the door, suitcase swinging, whistling a tune. My heart felt like it was splintering. He's bailing for a vacation while I'm laid up like this? Isn't the whole marriage thing about having each other's backs? I'm in both physical and emotional agony. With the little energy I had left, I reached out for help, and the outcome was startling. My name's Leah, and I'm 29. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to help others, so now I'm a nurse at a university hospital. Nurses don't perform surgeries like doctors do, nor do they diagnose diseases. Our roles are specific and limited. But without nurses, hospitals wouldn't run. We care for patients within our scope, aiding in their healing. While we might not be in the limelight like doctors, nurses are vital. I took pride in being a nurse. Another perk of this profession was bonding with two close friends during nursing school. First up is Anna. She's the very definition of sweet, both in looks and nature. I'd often think how patients would be smitten by her, because even I, a woman, find her delightful. Then there's Sandy. She's like the big sister in our trio, always playing peacemaker between Anna and me. She was a star student, and now has a position at a prestigious hospital. Getting to know them enriched my life in ways I can't express. They've been a driving force behind my determination as a nurse. But there's another driving factor in my career. My husband, Nathan. Our paths crossed during a group outing arranged by a colleague from the same hospital. Sparks flew instantly, and he took down my number by the end of the night. He was persistent, and after about 18 months, he popped the question. We've celebrated 2 anniversaries since. Even though that fiery passion from our early days might have dimmed, I was convinced I still have feelings for him. But of late, something seemed amiss. He started staying out more. It really hit home 2 weeks back. He's typically back by 7 p.m., but that night, the clock struck 8, and still no sign of him. I shot him a text. Running late today, but got radio silence. Anxiety building up, I called multiple times, only to be met with voicemail. He finally strolled in after 11 p.m. What kept you? I've been out of my mind with worry. I tried reaching out so many times. I blurted out, my voice louder than intended. He seemed ticked off for a split second, but soon resumed his usual warm demeanor.
"Oh, my bad. Got drinks with some colleagues and missed your calls and texts."
You went out? You usually give me a heads up when you have plans.
Today was just hectic. I really apologize. I promise to be more considerate next time.
All right, just keep me in the loop. I can't help but worry.
I understand. If I'm late in the future, there's no need for you to stay up for me.
Claiming he needed a shower, he exited the living room. After all these years together, his behavior felt out of character. Was he not himself today? His fleeting irritation when I confronted him made me skeptical about his evening out story. He'd always inform me in the mornings about his evening plans. Many questions raced through my mind, but dwelling on them wouldn't rewrite the day. Although uneasy, I chose to put my apprehensions aside. It's been 2 weeks since that night, and my unease around him has only intensified. Right now it's after midnight, and he's nowhere in sight. Each time I ask, he sticks to the same excuses, out with coworkers or working late. Without any solid proof that he's being dishonest, I can't press the issue further. As the days passed, grappling with this alone got tougher. I chose to bring it up with my 2 closest friends, whom I was set to see soon. We gathered at a coffee shop, and after we ordered, I broached the subject. Actually, I've been wanting to talk about Nathan. Sandy, taken aback, leaned in and asked, "What's up? Did something happen?" Anna stayed pretty neutral, but I felt it was only fair to clue in both of them. Holding back tears, and with Sandy's reassuring hand on my back, I finally said, "Recently, he's been getting home super late. He hardly ever worked late or partied before." "So this is a regular thing now? Since when?" I paused, then answered, "It started about a month ago. He's late nearly every night now." "Almost every night? But didn't you mention his job doesn't require a lot of overtime?" "Exactly. And he's not big on alcohol. He never really got the whole after-work drinks thing. On the off chance he did go, he'd come home early." Sandy looked pensive after hearing this. Anna, in a laid-back manner, commented, "Leah, are you sure you're not reading too much into this?" "Reading too much into it?" "He's busting his butt off, both on the job and at home. He might be stressed, you know." "What do you mean? So he's coming home late every night because he's stressed?" "No, not really. Sometimes folks just want a break from home. You get me?" Sandy gave Anna a sharp look, clearly annoyed, and retorted, "Excuse me?" Anna didn't flinch, not showing any regret for her words. This raised an eyebrow for me. Even if Anna had a point, was this the right time or place to voice it? Especially to someone seeking guidance? Maybe she was just playing devil's advocate because we're tight. Regardless, her remarks hurt. I was on the verge of tears, but didn't want to make things more uncomfortable. I managed to smile and said, "You could have a point." The chat soon moved to Sandy's job and Anna's latest crush, and the hours just flew by. When we left the coffee shop, Anna quickly mentioned other commitments and made a beeline for the subway. Now, alone with Sandy, her demeanor shifted to something more serious. "What's on your mind, Sandy?" I asked, trying to keep it light. Looking sorry, she responded, "I've been mulling over Anna's comment. It felt off. Why would she back up your husband when you're clearly upset?" "Well, maybe that's just how she sees it. Still, she could have phrased it differently, right?" Anna's words did sting. I wasn't looking for pity, but I at least wanted someone to get where I was coming from. Anna's stance, especially since it was so uncharacteristic, seemed to side with Nathan. Distressed, I said my goodbyes to Sandy. On the way back, I was caught in a sudden rainstorm, and before I knew it, I was drenched. Instead of heading for a shower right away, I paused at the front door, lost in thought about Anna's words, and my husband's change in behavior, tears mixing with the rain on my face. The next morning, I woke up feeling feverish, and a splitting headache set in. My vision was fuzzy, and my body felt like it weighed a ton. Fortunately, I didn't have work, so I took a moment to check my fever. My eyes widened when the thermometer read 103.6 degrees Fahrenheit. I couldn't remember the last time I was this sick. Thirst overcame me, but moving felt impossible. Pushing through, I made my way to the living room, where I found my husband gleefully packing a small suitcase. Where are you headed?
Oh, didn't I tell you? I'm out for the next 3 days.
Hold on, you never told me. And you're leaving today of all days?
Look, it's been on the books for a while now.
You should have given me a heads up. His face tightened at my words. In a flash, he was making his way to the door, suitcase in tow. Hold on a sec. My fever was raging, my vision cloudy, my voice weak. I tried to get his attention, hoping he'd stick around. But all he did was shoot me a dismissive smirk. Gesturing towards me, he said with a touch of arrogance,
Sorry, but I've got a trip with a friend starting today.
I'm in bad shape. If you take off, I won't be able to fend for myself.
That's on you. You did this to yourself. You're in the medical field, yet you're so helpless.
I can't even...
Just get some rest while I'm out.
And just like that, he was out the door, suitcase swinging, whistling a tune. My heart felt like it was splintering. He's bailing for a vacation while I'm laid up like this? Isn't the whole marriage thing about having each other's backs? I'm in both physical and emotional agony. I need help. With what little energy I had, I called someone for assistance. Sandy was my lifeline. After a quick chat, she showed up loaded with electrolyte drinks, meds, ice packs, and fruit. After getting some rest, I felt a world better, and the fever had dialed down. Sandy, you're a lifesaver. I'm feeling way better. Really? That's great. But, I've got some news. Spill it. This might not be the best moment, but Anna might be more than friends with your husband. Come again? Trying to clear up my confusion, she flashed a pic. It showed my just departed husband and Anna, both toting suitcases, grinning ear to ear. What's the deal here? I had this hunch ever since our coffee meetup. Then, on my way here, I spotted them. Anna and my Nathan? Really? Is that why she was covering for him the other day? Looks that way. I immediately called my husband's workplace, finding out he had indeed taken a few days off. My nerves quickly flipped to fury. This is unbelievable. He dished me, feeling awful, to jet off with the woman he's seeing on the side. And she's my right-hand gal? How dare he? This is war. But for the moment, I opted to rest up and recharge. Sandy stayed overnight, not wanting to leave me alone. Come morning, things took a wild turn. While brainstorming with Sandy, my cell buzzed. It was Anna. Sandy signaled for me to pick up. Her shaky voice came through. Leah, your man, Nathan, he's gone. Wait, what? What did you say? I'm telling you, Nathan's no more. Did you catch that? Get to the hospital now. She hung up quick and shot over the hospital info. Sandy and I rushed to the hospital. In the waiting area, I spotted a shaken Anna, looking defeated. I left Anna with Sandy and darted to my husband's room. When I told them I was his wife, they weirdly pointed me to a regular room. Hold on, where's my husband? I asked, clearly rattled. The nurse responded by opening the door, showing Nathan swathed in bandages from head to toe. He went ghost white seeing me. I waved Sandy over, bringing Anna into the room. Anna's eyes bulged, blurting out, "What the heck?" Sandy, who'd gotten the scoop from Anna, filled me in. Nathan blew through a red light with Anna and wound up in a wreck right in front of her. She had assumed he was gone after seeing him lifeless and unresponsive as paramedics took him away. If he had died, their secret would have been blown wide open. She probably figured the jig was up and decided to loop me in. He probably didn't see that coming. Seeing Nathan's strained face, I snarked. Crashing the car on a cheat date? Maybe karma's real after all. You got what was coming. But hey, good thing you're still breathing, huh? Get ready for life post-divorce thanks to your little side gig. Buckle up.
Hold up. You're talking divorce? You're kidding, right?
I fired back. Do I look like I'm kidding? You ditched me, sick as a dog, to run around with my BFF. I think I just let that slide? Just so you're clear, I'm not budging on this. Prepare for the storm I've got ready for you and Anna. Without another peek, I stormed out. I got the sounds of him hollering and Anna's cries, but I tuned them out. Back home, a quick check of his tablet uncovered all the proof I needed of his two-timing. Armed with the goods, I hit up a law office, kicked off the divorce, and pressed for a payout. The evidence made for a fast divorce. Plus, I got a lot of money from the two of them in damages. Nathan, always bad with money, had been blowing cash left and right on Anna. Sandy and I later found out Anna had failed on her job and lately had been leaning on guys for cash. My now ex-hubby was just one on her list. She ended up in the hole trying to cover the damage fees. After a ton of fights, their fling fizzled out. A double cross by both my husband and my bestie was a blow. But looking back, I'm glad I cut those ties. I've got to believe that to move forward. Lucky for me, I got a rock-solid friend in Sandy. After the dust settled, she shot me a comforting grin. Leah used to taw through all of this. You rock. No way. It's all you. Totally. BFFs, right? If you need anything, holler. Thanks so much. I can't thank her enough. Life's not just about family or significant others. A ride-or-die buddy who gets me and has my back? That's gold. If she ever needs a hand, I'll be right there. I'm committed to living my best life, so one day I can return her awesome favor.
Hi, this is City Hospital. Your daughter was just brought in as an emergency.
I was enjoying my day off at home with my husband when we got that shocking call from the hospital. They told us our daughter had been admitted because of heat stroke. What? We're on our way. After I hung up, I filled my husband in on what had happened, and he was equally stunned. We didn't hesitate and immediately drove to the hospital. When we got there, a nurse greeted us.
She didn't have any ID on her.
Hang on, how'd you guys get our number then?
You know, one of those emergency tags? She had a keychain with your info on it, so we dialed that number.
This threw me for a loop. I didn't remember ever giving our daughter something like that. The nurse reassured us.
She's doing much better now.
But when the nurse led us into the patient's room, I saw a girl I didn't know. Hold on, who is she? Right after I asked, the girl in bed lit up and shouted, "Dad!" Who would have guessed what craziness would come next? My name's Lucy. I'm a 36-year-old working mom. I married Dan 7 years ago after we were set up by a friend. We made it official after dating for 2 years. I've been with a big publishing firm since I graduated, while he's got a job at a smaller place. Aside from the fact that my paycheck's a bit bigger, we're just your average couple. A year into our marriage, I learned I was expecting. The morning sickness was brutal, making me feel nauseous and dizzy, so I had to rest a lot. What really surprised me was that my husband barely pitched in around the house. Nowadays, if a wife's feeling under the weather, the husband would usually step up, right? But he never cooked, cleaned, or did laundry. "Could you help with the laundry? I'm feeling super sick." I asked him once, but he just grumbled.
Why should I have to do that?
"Seriously? I'm carrying our child. Can't you chip in?"
No, it's not a big deal. Being pregnant is being sick. You do it.
He ate quickly and crashed, leaving everything to me. Another time, after I'd been doing all the chores feeling like crap, he staggered and drunk and tried to get close.
Lucy, how about some fun tonight?
I shot him down fast, reminding him how I was feeling. No! What if something happens to the baby? Besides, I'm not in the mood at all. He shot back.
Turning down your own husband? If something happens, don't blame me.
Before stumbling to bed. There I was, alone again. Fast forward, and I gave birth to our baby. Both our families, who lived close, were over the moon about their new grandchild. Even my usually reserved father-in-law Paul was beaming. It made me feel like $1,000,000. But boy, was raising our baby a challenge. Dan started traveling more for work and was rarely home, leaving everything on my plate. It was tough, but who else was going to step up? Mostly, it was just me taking care of our girl, though my parents did lend a hand now and then. Dan, he just chilled when he was home. At first, I was pretty upset about it, but eventually I just rolled with it. Our little girl, Laura, grew up healthy and is now an 8-year-old in 2nd grade. She's a gem, always telling me, "I love you, Mom," and pitching in around the house. One afternoon, she got home from school and showed me a note about a classroom visit. "Mom, they said it would be great if Dad could come this time." "Oh, like a Dad's Day? We'll check with him when he's back." We both waited for Dan to come home. When he walked in, Laura gave him the note, asking with hope in her eyes, "Dad, can you come to my class?"
Why can't your mom go?
"Please, Dad. I really want you there."
Okay, I'll work it out.
Laura jumped up, beaming from ear to ear. He's always swamped with work, so her dad attending her school's open house must have meant the world to her. She was so pumped about prepping for the event, wanting to show her dad her best. Her excitement was really sweet. But on the evening of the event, Laura got home, sobbing. "What's going on?" "Dad never showed up to my class." Hold on. Are you kidding me? From what Laura shared, he was a no-show, making her the only kid without a parent there. I tried calling him right away. No answer. He finally staggered in late that night, reeking of alcohol. Hey, why'd you bail on Laura's open house?
What? Oh, was that today? It must have slipped my mind.
Seriously? She was so excited. You let her down big time.
Jeez, quit nagging. It's not the end of the world.
Something was off. He smelled like a different body wash, not ours. Did you shower somewhere else? He looked taken aback for a second.
I hit up a sauna.
Seriously? If you had time for a sauna, you could have been there for Laura.
Drop it. I'm heading to bed. Enough already.
He stormed off to our room. From then on, I had this nagging feeling he was keeping secrets. We needed to hash things out. I asked him to be around the next Sunday. Laura was set to join a day camp with her friend's family, so we'd have the place to ourselves. Dan rolled out of the bed late, looking all cranky, but I reminded him we needed to chat. As he begrudgingly sat down, he asked,
So, what's up?
Well, but just as I was gearing up to dive in, our landline buzzed. Talk about timing. I answered.
Hello? City Hospital here. Your daughter was just brought in as an emergency.
Say what? Apparently, a good Samaritan found her passed out on a sidewalk and dialed 911. The hospital thought it was a heat stroke and were running some tests. Oh no! I'll be right there. That's the city hospital, correct? After filling in Dan, we both, in complete shock, sped over to the hospital. What the heck happened at camp? Is she alright? My head was spinning with questions as I drove. When we got there, a nurse approached.
You're Laura's parents, right? She didn't have any ID on her.
Hang on. How'd you guys get our number then?
You know, one of those emergency tags. She had a keychain with your info on it, so we dialed that number.
That threw me for a loop. I never gave Laura any ID like that. How'd the hospital get our number then? Someone else must have given it to her.
This is her room. She's doing okay now.
The nurse led us to a room, but inside was a girl I'd never seen. Hold on, who is she? As I was trying to figure it out, the girl in bed chirped up. Dad, you're here! Excuse me? She was definitely calling Dan Dad. I glanced at him, and he was white as a sheet, lost for words. Hold on, why is she calling you Dad? Dad, who's she? Isn't Mom coming? I'm starving. I turned to the stunned Dan, shaking him. Okay, what's going on here?
Well, this is,
He struggles to find the right words. Getting closer to the bed, I spotted a kid's bag with a keychain hanging from it. This keychain had 2 handwritten phone numbers. Our home number was one of them. The other was a cell number I didn't recognize. But that handwriting was all too familiar. It was definitely Dan's. The little girl, looking up at me with those big eyes, had an uncanny resemblance to him. The truth started to sink in. This girl was his secret daughter. He had carelessly scribbled our home number on her ID keychain. What a dumb move. I was beyond mad. A mix of shock and simmering anger. Given we were in a hospital, I kept my voice low and hissed at him. Don't even think about bolting. We're hashing this out, now. I quickly made a call. About a half hour later, there's Dan, looking spaced out, seated in the hospital waiting area. As I sat beside him, the folks I'd called up strolled in.
Lucy, what's the deal?
My in-laws hurried over. Seeing his dad, Dan looked like he'd seen a ghost. Thanks for coming, Paul and Susan. Your granddaughter was admitted here in an emergency. Is Laura all right? Did something happen to her? Susan's worry was palpable, and I just shook my head. No, it's not about Laura. Come again? Without a word, I just gestured towards the hospital room, and they took a peek, then returned.
Lucy? Who's that little girl?
Susan's face went white, and beside her, Paul looked baffled. That's Dan's secret kid.
His what?
The look they shared was pure shock. Susan edged closer to Dan. Please, tell me you didn't. Then I saw another woman, eyes wide as saucers. Dan? Molly? What's going on here? I had posed as a hospital worker and called the other cell number on the ID tag, bringing her here. I greeted her with a smile. Nice to meet you. Mind taking a seat? We should probably chat. In a quiet corner of the waiting area, Dan and this unknown woman sat down, with me and my in-laws in front of them. All right, Molly's mom, can you start by telling us who you are? She answered, sounding kinda distant. My name's Taylor. Okay, Taylor. What exactly is your relationship with my husband? Well... She hesitated, and when she went quiet, I shifted my gaze to Dan. So Dan? Spill. What's your deal with Taylor and the kid in that room? He just shook, looking at me, lost for words. Right as I was going to push for more, my father-in-law's voice cut through.
Out with it.
Dan just broke. Barely above a whisper, he confessed.
Taylor and we had an affair. Molly's my daughter.
I kept a straight face, but Susan started sobbing, and Paul just dropped his gaze, heartbroken. So what's the full story here? Break it down for me. He sighed.
Okay, here's the thing.
He began to share, albeit hesitantly. When I was pregnant, I dealt with morning sickness and wasn't up for getting close, which really bugged him. Around then, he started seeing his coworker Taylor, who went after him. The affair went on, and when our daughter Laura turned 2, news broke that Taylor was expecting. She decided to keep the baby, and he went along. He'd head over to her place after work, even making up business trips to spend the night. You've been deceiving me all this time? My voice was soft, but my disbelief was clear. And he had the nerve to snap at me.
This is mostly on you for not being there for me when you were pregnant.
Excuse me? Do you hear yourself?
I didn't do anything wrong. Things just happened.
Dan mumbled. Right then, Paul, who'd been beside us, got up and shoved him.
Cut the nonsense. Whoa, Dad. It's clear you're the one at fault. Apologize to Lucy.
Look. Taylor, who'd been quiet till then, finally opened her mouth. Dan and I are in love. Molly's the fruit of that love. Dan, leave Lucy and let's be a real family. He paused, then replied.
Wait, I'm not thinking of divorcing.
What's that supposed to mean?
You can't hold down a job, and aren't great around the house either.
Really? That's what you think of me? Taylor, in a fit of rage, grabbed and shook him. Everyone, including my in-laws and me, just stared, stunned. But I jumped in when I saw others gawking.
Enough. Look, Lucy, I'm really sorry for the affair, but my heart's with you and Laura.
He reached out, but I pulled away sharply. Are you serious? Divorce is happening. Taylor's face brightened, contrasting his stunned look. There you go, Dan. She's saying divorce. Let's be a true family. Taylor, you can have this jerk, but you owe me first. She looked taken aback. I let out a sigh. You thought you could mess around with a married man, have a kid, and everything would be peachy? I'll get my $65,000 lawsuit if necessary. I can't cough that up. You're so cold. I brushed off her comment and addressed Dan. And you, Dan, you're on the hook too. I want child support and alimony. He looked completely beaten down as Paul hit his head. I walked out on them. With my in-laws backing me, the divorce was quick. They reached out to Taylor's folks, filling them in. They were angry with Taylor and ended up covering for her since she was broke. They vowed to take Taylor and Molly back to their small town. That was the end for Dan and Taylor. He handed over most of his savings to me. With child support for Laura, and now Molly, he's tight on money. But Paul swore to make sure he pays his due. Hopefully, he'll think hard about his choices and step up. As for me, I used that money to relocate and give Laura and me a fresh start. I had my concerns, but she comforted me, saying, "With you by my side, Mom, I'm good." Now, I'm focused on her joy and our bright path ahead.